Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of Shoponomics. I'm your host, Sinead Hammond, and we're joined today by the wonderful Tanya Child. Hi, Tanya, are you on?
Hi, I'm here. Nice to see you.
Fantastic. It's so nice to have you here. Thank you so much. So today we are covering, is your C-suite ready for Gen Z, creating mixed basket experiences to meet B2B and B2C buyer expectations? A little bit of a mouthful of a title. I think we've decided to cover quite a lot of different things in here. And Tanya is formerly of the V&A and Pantone, and now works as the e-commerce transformation delivery lead at Kew Gardens. So really excited to have you here. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on and talk to us. Would you like to tell us a little bit about your career in e-commerce, and also before moving into your current role, and also a little bit about the role that you've got now?
Sure, and I apologise ahead if I have to go on mute to cough. I've suffering from this lurgy that everybody seems to be having.
No.
Yeah. I've been my career spans more than 20 years. I hear a lot of people say that. So yeah, I started well over 20 years ago, working agency side on account management roles for direct marketing and brand agencies. I became really interested in strategy and planning very early on. And that stayed with me throughout all of my career, really. Moved into the digital marketing and e-commerce space in 2004. That was really spending some time working freelancing, managing some PPC campaigns for some high-profile brands. Then I focused on project management of website development and began working on e-commerce projects. Started to make a bit of a leaning towards client services roles, was interested in how things are working operationally and really helping people move through projects as well. So I'm less of I'm not really a technical delivery person. I'm an all-in, looking after people through the journey kind of person as well. But I did spend some time in an agency working in traffic management, so understanding how to move work around between designers and developers. 2017, I made the jump to client side and worked for Pantone and started off in an e-commerce manager role for the EMEA region. That was mostly working on a e-commerce platform migration, moving onto the Magento platform for Europe, Middle East and Africa, and working on some interesting challenges against how we were selling color standard products through Amazon and dealer network versus how we were trying to do our own direct e-commerce business as well. That was an interesting challenge. And then I sort of got into a bit of a global e-commerce lead role with them as well, and was looking at strategy for e-commerce expansion. We were looking at how to break out and migrate onto the Magento platform in new global markets, evaluating what that looked like for the business, that kind of thing. Then after Pantone, I took my re-platform experience to the V&A and led an e-commerce transformation project where this was my first introduction into building mixed basket e-commerce, and worked on the delivery for that. And then towards the end of that project, focused on business and operations handover into BAU. So that gave me a really good understanding of the difference between what's kind of an IT tech project versus actually getting your finished technology product into BAU, ready for true transformation. That's where the transformation really happens. So now I'm at Kew, Royal Botanic Gardens Kew, part of the program team where we're delivering visitor experience technology-enabled transformation. There's a bit of a theme coming here, which is bringing together seamless customer experience in a single customer view. And my focus is, for obvious reasons, based on my experience, on building, again, the e-commerce single basket delivery and transition into BAU for Kew. So all of that really rolled my current, what I do really, into delivery roles that focus on improving customer experience and putting technology in place and helping and enabling businesses to then take that into BAU and really transform their e-commerce to meet their business goals.
Incredible.
That's where I'm at.
Incredible. Yeah, no, there's a huge amount of experience there across lots of different e-commerce platforms, businesses that you might not necessarily expect kind of an e-commerce piece. So I really value your experience and your expertise on how these multi-basket e-commerce experiences come to life, and how we you can use digital transformation to be able to change businesses in that way. So it's really exciting to be able to have you here. Before we dive in, just as a reminder for any Shoponomics regulars, this is an interactive event, which means that as a listener, you get to be involved with the conversation. So simply ask to speak at any point, or we'll welcome you at the end on stage. We invite questions and comments throughout or at the end, and I'll give you some little reminders throughout just to write down any questions you have. And then you can also make comments on the LinkedIn event itself as well, if you'd like to. But we do encourage you to join us on stage if you like. And then don't forget to use the emojis as well. There's a little react button down there. I don't know for anyone who's listening if they want to test it out, just to show that they can be used. Let us know how you feel. Thanks very much, James. Let us know how you're feeling about the chat as it's going on. Okay, let's get started with the first question. So today's talk is all about creating mixed basket experiences to keep up with buyer expectations. Increasingly, we're seeing a growing number of millennial and Gen Z buyers in the B2B space, and B2C buyers continue to look for predominantly online or at least hybrid shopping journeys. I wanted to start by asking you about what you might expect from a mixed basket experience and why enterprise retailers might need these.
Yeah, it's a really interesting, it's a challenging space to be in, actually, because we know that what I call traditional retail e-commerce, if there is such a thing already, the out-of-the-box functionality is very much focused on retail products online on a shop, Amazon-style shopping, go through a checkout, that's all good. When it comes to wanting to try and cross-sell retail products with other products, I mean, in the work that I've been doing, that could look like tickets to come to an exhibition or an event or something, or you want to cross-sell and turn your retail shoppers into members or sign them up to subscriptions. There's no true out-of-the-box functionality for that mixed basket concept. So it means that those journeys have got to be heavy customized, and that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work technically, but it's also a lot of work for a business to get to grips with as well. If you have different business areas, you have like a retail team or a fundraising team, for example, in the not-for-profit space, then you've got different factors that you need to accommodate for. And then ultimately what you're trying to do is build a seamless end-to-end purchase journey and customer experience for people as you move them around on their journey. Where some of these, the projects that I've been working on with the cultural sector, it's the starting point is perhaps a customer experience where you buy something from the online shop, but if you wanted to become a member, you'd have to go to a different website and complete a separate transaction with a separate checkout, and that's not a very nice customer experience. And then from a business point of view, you can't easily do your cross sales because they're on different platforms and they're in different journeys. So that's what we mean by kind of mixed basket. It'd be I haven't really thought about it beyond non-profit organizations and the world that I'm in at the moment, but I'm sure there are other examples of how you might want to sign someone up to something and make regular payments, for example, rather than just buying something from an online shop. So yeah, it's all about building the nice seamless customer experience and enabling true cross-sell capabilities that drive conversion revenue, and also that give you a more accurate picture of what your customers are buying. So if you've got customers who are on these end-to-end purchase journeys that you're steering, maybe not steering, let's say guiding them through, that gives you a whole different set of data that you might not have had before, because you would have had data on different platforms and different systems. Now you can piece it all together, feed it into your CRM, and get a nice complete single view of customer. I'd be interested to know if anyone is out there working on mixed basket scenarios outside of our visitor attractions sector, because I think the principles can be applied to anything. So yeah, it's about thinking about tackling, out of the box functionality and functionality that you want that doesn't exist, and how do you build that, make that happen?
Yeah, absolutely. I think definitely in sort of the B2B space, particularly in B2B commerce, where traditionally there might have been a different way of creating revenue, perhaps different channels used. There's definitely a big thing to be said about mixed basket functionality in the way you've been talking about it. I know we've had a few discussions off this particular audio event about kind of, the different parts of channel revenue, different places you could get that from in terms of customers, and kind of bringing that all together so there's that one seamless experience. And I can think of a lot of different applications for that, both across B2B and B2C space. And I do think this is the direction in which kind of e-commerce is actually going, which is super exciting. So I guess in terms of technology, how can brands adopt this out-of-box functionality to fit their needs?
Well, the first thing, as I say, you can't adopt it easily. You have to be brave, and you have to be all in with this kind of thing. From what I can see, if there is a solution out there that delivers this, would love to know what that is. But you're really trying to take your platform and try and do the minimum amount of customization for obvious reasons, so that you're not dependent on too much on customized code and things like that. But helping everyone around you to understand what that means as well, of customized e-commerce versus out of the box functionality, because sometimes people will approach it and say, well, we just build some additional purchase journeys and that's all fine. It's easy to do. It's not easy to do, but it's the rewards are really, really high. So you've just got to be prepared to rethink all of your customer journeys end to end. Think about the prioritizing. You have business priorities, don't you, that are driving the order which you might do your cross sells in. So it might be kind of like a member first strategy, in which case everybody must be converted to become a member. But the retail team, the e-commerce team, they have their own goals and targets, and they're going to want to have their functionality enhanced. And you've really got to think carefully about what are the priorities aligned to your goals for your transformation project, but mostly what's right for the customer. I know everyone always thinks customer first, customer centric. That's really about doing the right thing for the customer. So these kinds of projects, these big transformation products, they're an opportunity for a business to look at this and have sort of a neutral voice come in and help them to work out all the different priorities and do it in a fair way that meets business goals and objectives, and also delivers what the customer needs. The kind of things that you need to think about when you're thinking about technology. Payment integration is a big thing. The two projects that I've been working on with Kew and the V&A, we've done integrated new payment service provider. So that needs to be factored into the purchase journeys. But that means that you can not only you start building a mixed basket where you can have different products and take people on cross-sell and upsell journeys to get them to the right basket combination that they want. You could offer them different payment options as well. So you might want to do a split payment or something. So with a membership, you would, in the same purchase journey, enable someone to sign up to pay for their membership by direct debit, and then pay for the rest of their basket with a card and PayPal. And that takes a lot of thinking through in terms of journey planning and things like that. But with that comes integrations, which can be quite complex. Don't underestimate those. And also thinking about data flow as well, about how your data is coming in from different places. And ultimately, you want it to go into your CRM and to have it spit out nice customer insights at the end, so you can prove your conversion. That also needs to be considered. These are all sort of new things that don't necessarily come out of the box. And then marketing consent as you're going through. So there are different points and opportunities in the journey where you would want to capture consent and enable people to select preferences and things. And they all have to be thought through in the right way, the right times in the journey. So it's not something to be scared of. It's just, don't underestimate the effort to do it. But as I said before, it's like the Holy Grail if you can achieve this.
Definitely. And I mean, even the points that you'd mentioned just there, obviously, that does sound like there's a lot of different steps to think about. I mean, before speaking to you before, I'd never really thought about all these processes that go into this kind of e-commerce journey. But, you kind of just assume a lot when you e-commerce. Oh, well, you just set up a basket and go, right? And
yeah.
It's just not how
or sometimes people will look at it and say, well, it's just another set of products. It is another set of products. But with a membership, for example, you might have 5 products, static products that are membership products that don't change very often, in which case they have got to be set up on your e-commerce platform and they do need to work in that way. But you don't have a product catalog. So then you've got to build a separate kind of e-commerce purchase journey and an e-commerce landing page. And also the big thing is thinking about the journeys and thinking about, because you have 2 places when you're building these kind of journeys. Take membership, for example. All of your pre-sales, selling the proposition of membership would all happen on your main website. And then when you're ready to buy and ready to click through to the purchase journey, then you would be taken to the e-commerce platform. As far as the user is concerned, it's the same website, shouldn't be any different. But then you start on your purchase journey. And that's complicated because with things like membership, you need to capture additional information from users. You need to capture their address because you're going to send them a membership welcome pack. You need to capture direct debit details and things like that. So, and then at the end of the journey as well, you want to be able to hand them off smoothly once you get past the order confirmation page, where you're going to take them next on their journey. So yeah, it's not just add some products to your e-commerce product catalog. There's all the journey piece to think about as well around that.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually speaking about that kind of post-purchase process, once you have handed them off, how can you then use that information to then inform other parts of the business? What's the kind of next step after you've
Yeah. So, the ultimate is to have everything flowing nicely into a CRM system. That's what we're working on with Kew at the moment, is to get data coming in from online and offline, commercial engagement with users and visitors and donors, and so you've got customer data coming in through back office processes, because if some of these, if think about physical retail, or thinking about if you're visiting somewhere to go for an experience, you may have bought your ticket online and then you go to an exhibition and you have your ticket scanned when you go into a museum or something, and then that feeds into the CRM. And then after the visit, you get a post-visit email campaign to maybe convert to become a member, and then you go back onto the website, and all that journey where the user is going online, offline. You want to be able to capture all those touch points, and more importantly, you want to be able to hand users off to the next place in their journey. Sometimes, it's you can get. There can be dead ends for users. You think, okay, well, and what I find as well a lot in these organizations that are doing this mixed basket thing, it does help to bring the business areas out of silos. So if you think that you may have a team that's working on a membership journey and then a separate team that's working on a ticketing purchase journey, these transformation projects really bring those teams together and say, okay, yes, we're responsible for that part of the journey, but what happens? Where do we hand the user over to next? How do we make that a seamless handover as well? So it really needs to the whole business needs to come together and think customer first. It really forces you to think customer first, what's right for their journey.
Absolutely.
It's fascinating stuff, actually.
I can imagine. And I can imagine there's all sorts of data that comes out in terms of customer behavior that you can then use and to identify, okay, well, what other creative experiences can we then use this, make for our customers in order to improve it even more. I think because you're talking about this kind of start to finish and then post checkout, you've got this, you're covering the whole journey there. It's really
cool. Yeah. And then in an ideal world, you've got all of because you have analytics for purchase behavior on the site, right? We have Google Analytics, we have Enterprise Platform have their own analytics. What's the nice thing about doing this all together in a single basket, all feeding into the CRM, is that you can analyze behavior and trends beyond just on-site behavior, so that you can really get to that golden nugget of, what are people likely to do next, and you can start profiling and segmenting in a really well-informed, insightful way that you couldn't do before.
Every time I talk to you, I'm like, oh my gosh, this sounds so much fun. I would love to get under the hood of what you guys do.
Yeah.
Can you tell me some kind of any case studies and any sort of specific, I mean, you've touched on some specific experiences from Kew at the moment with you implementing the CRM, for example, but do you have any kind of case studies about kind of maybe what a previous basket or a previous experience with a site had looked like, and maybe kind of the transformation you've got to now?
Yeah, so the three examples that really in the mixed basket world that I've been in is, it started off with Tate's. Tate's were the first, I think, I'm not gonna, don't want to misquote here, but Tate built the mixed basket customer experience, which enabled people to, in a single transaction, buy something from the online shop, buy a ticket, also add a membership to their basket, make a donation, opt into gift aid, and check out all of that in a single transaction, paying for their membership by direct debit, and then paying for the rest of their order on a card. That is the ultimate mixed basket, and it's not going to be, you know, that might be a bit edge case because, well, for various reasons, there are so many different rabbit holes you can go down with this one. But in the true sense of a mixed basket, that's what it looked like. So then we did the same, replicated that for V&A. The nice thing about this sector is that everyone's very collaborative and happy to share ideas and share learnings with each other. So it's a very open sector to be in that respect. So then we did the same thing with the V&A. The other things that we do in building this is the My Account area. So building in the ability to, obviously the standard at what I call out the box functionality, where you can see your personal details and your payment details and your purchase history. And then what we built in, what Tate and V&A built in, and what we're doing with Kew as well, is then building in recognizing or validating yourself as a member, and then pulling that data from the CRM, checks that you're a member, and then shows your member information in your My Account area. And then 6 weeks before your membership is due to expire, a banner pops up and prompts you to renew your membership. So there are opportunities for improving renewal conversion within the My Account area. The other thing that you can start building it out as well is you're opting into gift aid. It's quite a common thing in this sector, but we're building functionality so that you could opt in and out to gift aid. So you can opt into gift aid through your purchase journey, but also you can manage that within your My Account area as well. So if you wanted to opt out at any point, you can do that as well. Marketing preferences and consent. And then, you know, there is scope for the future to build in. I know a lot of brands talk about having gated content, and how do you house that? Where do you put that? That could be what the expansion of a My Account area could be. You then start having content that's available to members that isn't, if you're not a member, you can't see it, kind of thing. So it kind of, I think those My Account areas kind of solve the problem of having a single place to sign into, where you do everything associated with your account and your experience, and then obviously you can continue to cross-sell in there as well.
And we're so used to that as well now. You know, part of the main buyer expectations, changing buyer expectations at the moment is, you know, we're so used to doing everything from one single place. You know, we get our kind of phone or our laptop, and we want to do it all in one. We don't have the patience or time. We're so privileged to be able to say we want it all in one thing. So I'm thinking about this. Obviously, your experience here comes from sort of those visitor attractions and that sort of side of things, but also I'm thinking about, you know, subscription memberships from e-commerce brands, you know, using that and being able to access exclusive offers, exclusive content, you know, all of those sort of things, because e-commerce has long gone kind of just to purchase, you know, a basket, a payment process, and you're through. There's so much more to it, and there's so much more that you can do as a brand with that, with your story, to be able to encourage, you know, long-term brand loyalty. So this is really valuable for e-commerce brands listening, or traditional e-commerce brands listening, about how you can expand that relationship that you've got with those customers to keep that loyalty going longer term. So really valuable.
Yeah, and personally as a user as well, I think, you know, knowing what's possible, why can't we have a place to do everything? You know, why? I know budget has a lot to do with it, but you know, it's possible, it's doable, and a lot of people are doing it. So, yeah,
definitely. So we've kind of talked a little bit about we're touching on changes here. We're touching on slight changes. And, you know, a few people I've spoken to in e-commerce in the past have sort of said, we want the innovation, we want to be new, we want to try all these new things, but we just can't get the sign off. And I think one of the parts of your role as well in terms of transformation delivery lead is actually kind of helping the business to kind of change, I guess its way of approaching things in order to then, you know, enable these experiences to happen for customers. But obviously, as you've said, it's not just a simple basket process. There's lots and lots of things to think about. So how do you think you can prepare your C-suite to then move forward with digital changes such as the ones you've been talking about so far?
Yeah, there's quite a lot that you can do actually. First of all, think of it as technology-enabled business transformation. So don't think of it as we'll build this and we will, you know, it's an IT project and we'll swoop in and build you a shiny new e-commerce site and off you go. Sometimes that you've got to take the business along with you, and it's got to be a business-owned solution as well. I see that, you know, successful, and I'm still learning this. I'm learning a lot from the current program team I'm with at Kew about how to do these well and how you can de-risk things as well. You know, businesses feel more comfortable and are more successful, I think, if you bring them along and they're part of the team. That means involving stakeholders and SMEs from the beginning. I mean, first off, these projects will start with a business case and it will start very high level. Ultimately, you want to be able to deliver the optimum product for the business. So it really needs to be designed and owned by the business. They know more than anyone about your users, your products, the pain points. You know, get them along right at the beginning. As I said, the business teams become part of the delivery team. So one project team, and I think delivery teams that come in from the outside are not part of BAU teams, should really be there to facilitate and guide the business through the change and through the project. It makes for a much smoother delivery as well, and it de-risks you go live as well if everybody's prepared. And be clear on your goals and scope. Involve the business in validation early on. I know sometimes I've seen requirements be captured with light touch consultation with SMEs and stakeholders. You can save yourself a whole load of trouble if you involve them heavily in the beginning of setting the requirements. That removes the kind of chatter that you get when you're trying to get into delivery and you've got scope questions that are coming in and scope creep and requirements that have been missed. That's the most important thing in delivery, is getting a handle on that and getting a clear scope and stick to that scope and make sure everyone's comfortable as you go into delivery. Think about your platform. So are you on the right platform to support a mixed basket? Ask yourself that. So you need to be on an enterprise platform to do this because of the customization. Do you have AI capabilities that can drive cross-sell? So once you've built these nice mixed baskets and you have the ability to cross-sell between journeys, have you got a machine learning capabilities to be able to take over that once you've gone live and serve those cross-sells and really get that working hard? Have you got a CRO strategy ready to put in place? I think, you know, build your foundation first would be my advice. Have a CRO strategy in mind, but start by measuring before you build your mixed basket or do your transfer. It doesn't even have to be a mixed basket, but your significant e-commerce project. Don't get carried away with wanting to measure and improve and optimize, optimize too quickly. Measure before you relaunch something. Make sure you capture your jumping off data. Then measure, let some time settle for whatever it is that you're relaunching to capture that data so you can measure the uplift of the project and the return on investment of the project. Then start chipping away at your CRO and start improving all of your metrics and your KPIs. But make sure that you have a CRO foundation in place. Make sure that and this can be connected with all of your business analysts and process mapping that you do at the beginning of the project, mapping customer journeys and user journeys. Then you can take all that work that's been done as a result of the project and overlay conversion KPIs throughout those different parts of the journeys. That helps you to get a good start on that. And then, you know, what's the business case? What does your business case look like? I think, you'll always need more money than you think, and you'll need more time than you think if you're doing something this complex. And it's a good idea to have a benefits realization case model built against your business case. It helps you to get it signed off, because once you get these things right, the return is brilliant. You can switch it on and off, can't you? Because it's the digital world. But a benefits realization model will really help with your business case to show what return you think you're going to be able to get by this investment, because you want to be asking for support across the business, and I'll touch on that. We've spoken very briefly about end-to-end journeys, so be clear on where your pre-sale journey starts and the handover points into the purchase journey onto the e-commerce platform. Make sure that it's seamless, make sure it makes sense to the user, and then make sure that you know where you're going to take them afterwards at the end of the journey, so that they don't end up at a dead end. And then operationally, what does it mean for your BAU teams? With these projects of this size, you can't expect the BAU team to manage and deliver a project alongside BAU. And what I was saying about getting SME and stakeholder ownership and involvement, you really need to have some of your BAU team seconded to the project if your budget will stretch to it, backfill those resources for a little while, but have them owning the product. It's great for their own personal development and professional development. It's great to be involved in these transformation projects, but it also means that you have a fighting chance of being able to keep up with the pace that project delivery demands. Critical to the success. And then think about what handover to BAU looks like, what business processes need to change, which teams now need access to the platform. And there are some big business questions to answer as well, and business decisions to be made ahead of going live when you're doing something like this. When you have different product areas, different business areas, who owns the customer experience? Who owns the data? Who's responsible for the platform? Who's representing the customer themselves versus what the business goals are for each of those business departments? So you might want to think about having a customer experience team, or if you can't stretch your budget for a team, then have a dedicated working group. That's a really quick and easy way to get to it, to make sure that someone is representing the customer across these end-to-end journeys, and can work through the noise of prioritization from different business areas and actually build what's right for the customer, I think. But yeah, there's lots of new processes and roles and responsibilities that need to be defined when you're doing something like this.
Absolutely. Just in that time talking, there's a lot to do. And I mean, I thought before we were sort of saying, not to be intimidated by the idea of doing this, because the returns are so massive.
Yeah.
And I think you were saying before about kind of the V&A adopting a mixed basket experience and having this, and there's other businesses that are kind of in this particular field doing similar things now. So it is something that's worth investing time into, but it's not a side project, like you said there at the beginning.
No.
It's not just some IT project. And I think sometimes projects do get lost, and you get scope creep, and you end up 5 years down the line still with the out of the box solution in some cases, because you've not necessarily had this dedication. So I think there are really important points to sort of separate it from BAU, and then how to bring it back into BAU is really useful there.
Yeah, and I'm thinking as well about how this is all big. This is big stuff, and not everybody can get to this big stuff easily. There are other ways you could get to it incrementally. You could do smaller projects. You could be a bit more creative about thinking about how to, eliminate one system at a time or something, and just incrementally move these journeys into your single basket. It doesn't have to be all big bang stuff.
Definitely. Yeah, I think we talk about that a lot, actually, just in on agency side, because it is a huge project, and it's also easier to kind of convince budgets. The budget if it's
put something out there, prove that it works, and go and ask for more money.
Absolutely. I like that idea. I like the way of doing it. So just as a reminder for everybody as well, we will be taking questions at the end for anybody who wants to ask anything. I know Tanya's covered a lot here, and it's something quite sort of unique, I think, and different from some of the other Shoponomics events we've had, just in the sense that it involves kind of a wide range of it would help a wide range of companies and businesses to kind of think slightly differently, I think. So if you do have any questions, do let us know. Don't be shy. Get on stage, or you can send something in the chat on the event as well, if you don't want to. So just one or two more questions here for you, Tanya. So can you just talk a little bit about some of the best practice recommendations that you would have if a company wanted to start thinking about multi-basket experience brand?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's kind of summing up really what everything that I've covered. So making sure your business case is aligned to a benefits realization model makes it easier for your business case to be signed off. Not that that's ever easy, I know. And it gives you I always call it a North Star to focus on during the project to stay within scope. So if you end up having conversations with stakeholders or the business where an idea for a new feature has come up, you have to be have a laser focus on what your scope is. You're building your foundation, and then there's room for optimization and feature enhancements when you get into your BAU backlog. Do make sure that you give your BAU teams the time and space to work alongside this, because otherwise it's going to be a rush delivery. It's going to be a project that, to quote, is done to the business, because as a team that's come in and they've just put this technology in place and built some nice journeys, and there you go, now work out what you need to do it. Don't underestimate the time and the effort that it takes. Customization. I mean, again, I don't want to scare everybody, but these are difficult projects to do, but you can get through it. You just have to methodically go through the processes. But don't underestimate time, effort, cost, and think about your integrations and your third parties and how much you're going to need from them. And also, one thing that's come up with this middle basket build, this mixed basket build, is a thing called middleware. And that's it sits between your e-commerce platform and your CRM system or your ERP systems, because actually, in the world of museums and galleries and people like that, you've got different with buying different products on the front end for different business areas that will need to then go through to your ERP system and go to different fulfillment houses. So your e-com retail products will go out to your shipping warehouse. Membership fulfillment will go out to your membership team, who then send a welcome pack. If you've got tickets in the mix there, then the tickets might be sent electronically by email. So your fulfillment has to go out that. So you need this middle layer to process all of that data and send it off to the right places. And ultimately, all the data has then got to come back into the CRM. The other thing I think don't neglect is finance reconciliation. So again, if you've got different, you might have different business entities that are involved here, and you've got income coming in through one system, and you've got to then reconcile that and send and recognize it against the different entities. And finance often gets neglected, and they should be involved in discovery right at the beginning, because you need to be able to follow money through, put it in the right bank account, and so on. And get your end-to-end customer journeys and business processes mapped early. And if you can do some of that before you go into discovery, that will be really great, because it really helps with requirements. It also becomes your linchpin for your requirements, as I say, your design. It informs your build and your testing and your test scripts. Those are really important things. And if you can get those done early on, then you can hang everything else off your business processes, which is great. And prepare for BAU, I think, where the V&A and Kew have been successful is they're investing in business change. They're investing in the teams to make sure that everyone is ready to receive it. They're investing in making sure everyone's trained. That is what makes for a successful project, I would say. And then the business is ready to transform the business, improve conversion, and generate more income.
Wonderful. Thank you. Listening through to you, talking through it, sounds there's a lot of advice that you can give that you've gained over, I think, implementing systems like this. Bit of a kind of out there question or road question, but can you tell us any kind of mistakes that have maybe been made? We love the kind of real stories here. So any mistakes that kind of been made along these journeys that you kind of think, oh my goodness, like that, I would never do that again. I would never advise, if I was, you know, in this role again, we would not go down this road. Is there anything that you can kind of think of?
Yeah, I do have one that comes to mind, and it's relating to SEO. Make sure that you have your SEO all in line before you go live, so you don't see an overnight drop off in traffic. That is a big one. It's fixable, but you know, you've got to rebuild your SEO collateral, and that is painful and unnecessary as well. So yeah, make sure that that is included in any work you're doing here. And I think the biggest, I keep repeating myself, I think because the biggest learning for me going through this is the involvement of the business, is having them as part of the team, have them design it, make it their product, so that, you know, actually you're kind of, when you get to the end of project, you're not necessarily handing over, you're more stepping away, because the business is already embedded in the system and the transformation, and they know how to run with it. So you're just rolling off, basically.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I think that seems to be the same with a lot of digital projects generally, because it's what we were talking about before, you know, having these little, I guess, IT projects or having things, if you've not got the whole business involved, because it is a huge change, especially if it's an e-commerce company, you're looking at your entire revenue shift, you know, it is all different. So it's really key to have that there. And I think that the thing you said there about SEO, I think there's probably a few marketing people on this call who've experienced that, where you kind of have this brand new shiny platform or experience, and you think great, and then you're like, oh my god, no one's able to see it.
Where is everyone gone?
Exactly. What have we done? So there's hard things to consider. Would you you know, recommend any specific sort of team members that you may kind of want if you were going through a digital transformation project like this?
Yeah, there's what you need at a minimum. You need a business analyst, depending on this. You know, if you're doing a big CRM project that is where you have more back-end process to define and map, then you might want more than one business analyst. But you definitely need a business analyst from the off. You need a project manager or a delivery lead. You need a solution architect, because you're doing lots of system changes and integration changes. It's a good idea as well that within your business you have some kind of enterprise architecture capabilities to know the direction that you're wanting to go in. That can sometimes stall projects a little bit from a solution architecture point of view, if you haven't got the big picture and you can't brief and make the right business and system decisions based on what direction you're going in. So be very clear on that. Sometimes if you're doing a big CRM transformation, you will want a data migration lead in there as well to help with migration of customer data. The e-commerce projects, not so much. If it's the only real big data to migrate might be product data for a product catalog, but that's a bit more straightforward. You're not moving customer data across. What else? Test leads, test managers. You need a lot of people to test. Try and get your business SMEs to own some of the testing as well. And this is another reason why you would want your BAU users to be involved, ideally full-time in a project like that, in a big CRM change transformation, because they'll need to be supporting writing user stories and acceptance criteria and test scripts and scenarios for UAT. And they are the ones that you really want them to try and break the system as well. So, but you need someone to lead and drive that, because tracking thousands and thousands of different test scripts or hundreds of test scripts needs some monitoring, and you need to keep on top of that to hit your deadline. You might want to consider having a training lead come in, but again, I think with the e-commerce platforms, it's most of it is out of the box. Well, no, I say that. You've got your out of the box training that comes from your enterprise platform providers. There are less people using an e-commerce system in the business than there would be a CRM system. So a CRM project might look heavier on the training resource side than an e-commerce project might. Who else have we got in there? business change, if you need someone to help move business change through preparing the business, if you're a large organization or a large business and you've got lots of change to business process, you would have your core delivery team who've been defining and reshaping those processes. But in preparation for go live to BAU, you'd need to spread that training and that knowledge to your wider teams who may not have had access to or visibility of the project up until now. So maybe think about trying to get a business change community going where you keep them updated on the progress of the project or the program across the complete life cycle, to start to warm them up, and then they become champions for the project and they spread the word. And the more people you can give visibility to, the better for when it comes to BAU.
It's a big team. There's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I don't want to frighten people who have smaller companies and smaller budgets, but I just think of every scenario you can think of, and just make sure you're prepared for it.
Yeah, I think that seems to be the biggest kind of takeaway from this. We're talking about doing things in little bits, and being prepared is just for it's a cool, it's an amazing thing to have in the end. But just thinking about it, step really cool. So we're going to move to the questions portion. So whilst the people listening are thinking of any questions they may have, we did get a pre-submitted question from somebody who was on the call earlier, but unfortunately had to drop off. So the question was, there's a lot of email communication pre-post sale from transaction and delivery notifications to abandoned cart scenarios, etc. How have you seen these implemented when products could be fulfilled from different sources in a mixed basket situation?
Oh, I haven't seen it, but I haven't seen it be done, because that's in the delivery world that I'm in. I get to the point of sort of handing it off, but I think that the most efficient and seamless way to do it is if you've got all your data coming into your CRM and you've got your marketing automated marketing and triggered marketing connected up to those purchase journeys in the best way that you possibly can. That's got to be, so bringing it out of those silos, out of those individuals. Here's a campaign in isolation over on this side, and then on the other side someone's running a similar campaign to the same people. So on a small scale, it's really thinking clearly about, map out your core purchase journeys and the different variables, and then make sure that you're not overloaded, that you're then sending communications at the right time to the right people. It's really basic stuff, isn't it? It's really obvious stuff, but maybe just do a bit of an audit on on your campaign schedule and mapped against your journeys, rather than looking at, okay, this is a retail shopper, this is a ticket purchaser. They're probably the same person. So yeah, try and map your journeys and streamline your comms a little bit and experiment.
Yeah, having everything in that single source of truth database as well, so key for all experiences, for all brands, for all e-commerce. It's so important, because especially as we were talking about before, there is such a wide range of places where a person can be in touch with your brand now. So really understanding those things and being able to have a central data point is usually step one.
Yeah. Well, and I'd almost say step one is understanding your user journeys and customer journeys, and then all this stuff.
Well, that's why we bring you on, because you're the expert. It's great. It's really great to hear from you, and obviously, especially with your experience in these kind of huge brands that everybody in the UK knows of. It's and abroad actually as well. So it's brilliant to have you here. Does anyone in the audience have any questions? This is usually the bit where everyone hides away.
I'm used to silence. To be honest, everyone's just like completely perplexed as to like, what should I say?
No, Tanya, I think you've just answered everyone's questions so beautifully. They're going to go away with tons of information. No, this has been really, really helpful. Thank you so much for spending the time to come on and talk to us. It's a really important kind of piece, I think, to the e-commerce transformation. As e-commerce goes forward, we are looking at very different ways of kind of putting together lots of parts of the business and lots of revenue streams to be able to make seamless experiences. So it's been really nice to have you here talking through it.
No problem. Thank you for inviting me.
No problem. So I just want to say thank you very much to the audience for tuning in, and whether you came in at the beginning or whether you've dropped in and out throughout the audio event, then it's great to have you here. Thank you very much for tuning in. Just a reminder, the next Shoponomics event will be with Dean Evans, who is the MD of Shopify, and she'll be discussing the Black Friday and Cyber Monday numbers from 2023 and what we can learn from this for future peak and holiday seasons. So make sure you're there. Tune in for that on the 29th of November. I believe this is the first time these figures are being discussed in a e-commerce community, which is super exciting. So we got the exclusive there, which is great. So make sure you're on there to find out more about the Black Friday and Cyber Monday numbers that have just passed and how you can apply these to your business going forward. As always, the transcript for this particular audio event and the audio will be available in the coming days at shoponomics.co.uk. So just another massive thank you to you, Tanya, for getting on and talking to us about this. Thanks to our listeners, and we will see you again in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye.
Bye.